Detective Comics 1103, Tom Taylor writing with MIKEL JANÍN on the art. So this issue sees Batman go to Metropolis to get the help of Lois Lane in investigating this villain, but also everything that's going on with this poison, this virus, and Intergang's somewhat involved as well. The issue kind of starts with Superman going to get the Oracle calls him and says, "Hey, Batman's passed out in his plane. You're going to have to get to him." And he's like, "By the way, there's countermeasures if you try and break in." So Superman just has to kind of like tank a bunch of damage as he's getting to Bruce. And obviously he's worried about him. So is Lois. They're like, "Hey, you've got like concussions. You've got this. You've got that. You shouldn't be doing stuff." But it's like, "Hey, you've got contacts here. This stuff's like got some connections to Star Labs. You've done exposés on them. You've got contacts. Can you please, do this?" And he drives out to Star Labs, and he's like forming a plan to go in and like take out the guard and do this and do that. And she's like, "Just wait outside. I'll go in and talk, okay?" So you've got Batman glowing up Lois a little bit in this issue, because in his narration he's like, "Hey, her superpower is getting people to talk, because not because she tricks them, but because she convinces them that it's for the better of everyone for these things to be exposed," and so on. So all very nice. I also especially love the moment where Lois goes to talk to her contact, the Doctor in Star Labs, and Batman couldn't help himself and has snuck into the building and appears in the room. And the shocked expression on the Doctor lady's face was particularly funny to me. So, and then Lois grills Batman about scaring her, because her whole relationships with contacts are all based on trust. So, like this is not helping with that. But she's like, basically, we're getting information here. We find out a bunch of like people who worked on this project when it was connected to Star Labs have died because they basically got infected, and their fear was gone. So one guy swam out to like a busy shipping lane where you're not supposed to swim and turned up dead. Someone else like went skydiving even though they used to be scared of heights and opened their parachute too late. It's just all these things that make sense, that if you didn't have any fear, you wouldn't have the instincts to like protect yourself in the same ways. But there's one guy,
self-preservation.
Yeah, there's one guy who's left though, who's a bit of a hermit. He's got agoraphobia, and they're going to go find him. But when they get there, Intergang's there. They're trying to grab him. So there's a whole thing here with Batman fighting the Intergang guys, which is tough at first, but when he deactivates their alien technology, their suits just become really heavy and they just sort of plummet to the ground.
The way that that this is drawn with the colors, which I feel like I say this every time, when it's Janin. I forgot his name for a second, but just the way that it plays with the reds during the action, and like the purples and greens and all this other stuff. Like when Batman throws the whatever deactivates the suits onto there, the whole background's purple, and then when he activates like the electrodes, it all goes red. Like there's some real cool storytelling with the colors and the art here.
Yeah, I think it's just EMP devices. Is all it is.
That's what it is.
But the scientist there to see, doesn't want to talk to them, and jumps out the window saying he's not afraid, because again his fear's all gone because he's got the virus in him. And Batman like dives out after him, and it's this great full page spread of Batman diving, and when he catches him they go crashing through a window, because basically the guy thought he was going to make it to the other side, and Batman's like obviously smart enough and does this often enough to know he ain't going to make that jump. So he dives at him, and they both go crashing through the window on the other side. And Batman acknowledges that he was being reckless there. Like there was a safer way to do that to save him and not get hurt, but he was doing it in the most reckless way possible, almost like his judgment's starting to already go. Like he's already starting to do things in a way that is not the most efficient or safe or logical. So So, apparently there is some kind of cure for the virus, but it's from the person who, like, paid for the research in the first place, who we assume is this lying character. So, that's who we have to find. Star Labs never had it, but they got paperwork to indicate that there was some kind of cure for it. Batman does some analysis of, what was it? I think it's the chip that he found. The component...
component from because they did get information about the what was paid for to be developed.
Right. Okay.
And he analyzes it, and there's a specific piece of it that he has seen before.
Yeah.
And then it goes over to, he's like, I need entry to Arkham Towers to speak to Jonathan Crane. And, you know, Batgirl's there, Babs, and pulls up and
of course, last issue, we had the whole subplot about some guys coming to the Arkham Tower and kidnapping Crane. So he's gone. And it's like, oh, shit. Okay, so that... Because I had forgotten about that for most of this issue until it got to this page. And I went, oh, yeah, he was kidnapped last issue from Arkham Tower.
Yeah. And she sees the sirens are going off, and she's like, oh, they already got him. And then it cuts to I like this part, too, because it's just the way that this plays out. It's very crime movie. You know?
Yeah, and then we go to the Lion character, and we hinted last issue that he was someone else that we just didn't recognize, and that's hinted here even more so again, where he's like, hey, Jonathan, do you recognize me? And he's like, you've changed, but yes, I know who you are. So, you know, we're again teasing. I thought they were about to reveal it, and then they didn't, the bastards, so we're still waiting for the reveal.
Well, and then he talks trash to Scarecrow, talking about him, you know, making that initial Scarecrow mask, right? Like the burlap sack. And he puts it over his head, and he's like, you know, I can't believe I was ever afraid of you. You look so dumb, you know? And thinking of you hand stitching this thing by hand, you know? It takes all the, like, mystique out of Scarecrow for this guy. So whoever this was, it was someone that was kind of familiar with Scarecrow and what he had done in Gotham.
It was someone who was scared of Scarecrow and Batman. That's the one thing we get out of here. Which, and maybe there's a good hint there. Maybe there is some obvious like guess that I should be making here that I can't think of. But yeah, they're definitely laying it on thick here that this is you know, who this is, whoever it really is. So yeah. And then the final page of the book is just Batman telling Lois he has to go off and do some more investigating stuff.
Well, and she says, like, you know, you got to be careful because I feel like you're being led along. And he's like, well, you know, if your fear's fading, you might not caution the question of what's presented. And then she's like, yeah, wasn't this a little bit too easy? You know, on the boat, you found a logo in a lab coat, and then in Kazia, you came across the Manifest Star Labs on it.
Yeah, like
which then led to Metropolis, which now leads to Scarecrow. And it's like, are you sure you're not being led into a trap?
Yeah, it's like a trail of breadcrumbs that he's following. And he tries to argue that, well, these weren't that easy to find. He's like, yeah, for a normal person, but he knows he's dealing with Batman. So these are relatively easy, all things considered. So the issue ends with him flying off and just sort of like thinking in his narration, well, you know, maybe this is a trap. Maybe I'm taking the bait. So, yeah, I will say,
really like that.
Yeah, I mean, I like the story beat. I do think that it's not the best final moment of an issue. You know, I feel like there was maybe a better cliffhanger or a better like final point. Maybe the page with Lion and Scarecrow would have been a better like final page just to leave it off on. I don't know. But regardless, I really like the issue though. Like, if my only real critique is that I don't think the final page felt like a final page, then that's relatively minor in the grand scheme of things. If I'm enjoying everything that's going on, and I liked all the investigation stuff. I liked Batman teaming with Lois and kind of like their personalities clashing a little bit, and her kind of having to manage Batman in her world for a couple of bits.
Yeah. Taylor, I say this a lot too. Taylor understands dynamics between the characters. You know, and the Lois and Bruce dynamic, I feel like they're constantly trying to get one up on each other, you know, and it's like with Lois being like, yeah, you do everything by fear. Look at what happens when I use trust. And it, you know, it shows the differences between them, that even though they have the same goal and how they go about it. So, but yeah, again, Taylor's very good at that type of stuff. And then just the entire sequence with the Lion and Scarecrow, that was very intriguing because the idea, like, Scarecrow kind of recognizes him,
and notably,
and that gets me going. Like, who is it?
Yeah, notably, that scene's taking place in a field, so he's literally in a you know, where a Scarecrow would be. He's in crops.
And hung up like a Scarecrow. Yeah. So
hell of a visual, and the art. You know, if you like Yanin's art, I mean, this is full of good Yanin stuff. Obviously, with the playfulness with the colors is something we talk about a lot with Yanin. But I think there's a lot of good stuff here. Like I say, that moment where the scientist gets scared is a really good little facial moment. You yeah, just lots of stuff here, which is really nice. Like, Superman's kind of like written off quite quickly because he goes off to just check the base, that the line and all that stuff was happening from last issue. But no, yeah, digging it a lot. So Matt, what are you giving Detective Comics?
I'm gonna give this a straight 8.
Yeah, I think I'm probably agreeing with that. I think an 8 out of 10 is where I'm at.